good reminder. Yeah, so we got this this while loop here that will continue until this condition hits false. And so by default, we're setting a Boolean to false and saying, hey, while that is not true, keep going. So that we can build our game in here. Now, what's nice about readline sync, when I run this program, if I had this uncommented, readline sync stops the execution of your program until you've answered the question, right? It won't continue on to line 5 until I've successfully answered on line 3. To show this, I will run the program, which we have an infinite loop created here. But if I start it, it hasn't hit the loop yet. It's stopping at readline sync to ask a question. I'll say, Nate, thank you, Nate. And then immediately it jumps into the while loop and it will crash horribly. But we want this because if I put this question inside the while loop, every time the while loop repeats, it's going to stop. Ask for a response, continue, and let us not hit this infinite loop problem, giving the user time to give us info. So what question should our game start off with? We start off with getting their name and saying thank you. But now inside of the while loop, what is the question that we'd like to ask over and over and over and over again until they get it right? Would you like to put your hand in the hole, find the key, or open the door? So we're going to ask that question. Const user answer equals readline.question. What would you like to do? And let's see how that changes our while loop. What is your name? Nate. Thank you, Nate. What would you like to do? And notice my while loop is not breaking my program. It has stopped right here waiting for my answer. I'll just say stuff. Why is it asking me the question again? The condition hasn't changed. So I gave him my answer. It ran down, hit the end, check the condition. Oh, still not true, or still not false. So ask him again. So this is how we build up the base loop of our game, using a while loop along with readline sync. Because it's going to stop us every time we answer. It'll stop, it'll repeat and go again. But question is feeling a little bit weak at this point, right? I would have to have them type in, I'd like to put my hand in the hole. I'd like to grab a key. What we'd rather do is present these as options and let them just hit a number. Like I want option number 1, number 2, number 3. So where do I go and look to see if that functionality exists inside of readline? Where's the best place to go learn how this works? NPM, we got to look at the documentation. So we're going to go to NPM readline sync, find it here on npmjs.com, readline sync. We'll scroll down. Okay, here's the question 1. Scroll down until we see something that looks like what we want. And here it is. So what's the method called that does this? Key and select. It takes an array of options and a question to ask, and it will present it as this, and then ask your question, giving a numerical value for what they want to choose. Let's test it out. So instead of readline.question, we'll say readline.keyInSelect. And now I need to provide an array of options. So this is where we get to kind of organizing our game a bit. Here we will greet the player. Here we will set up global variables for our game, which now needs to include some options, which will be an array. And then we actually, right after that, we have our actual game loop. So we're orienting this top to bottom, expecting with how they're going to play the game. All right, so we have the second argument in here, right? What would you like to do? We need to provide the array of options. What are the 3 options? I'm just going to copy these over and Do it like that so I can just easily copy and paste them into the array. Put hand in hole. Find the key. Or open the door. And then I'll provide the array of options as the first argument for key and select. Now I want to test what key and select actually returns. What do we expect user answer to be? We don't really know, but if we had to guess, hopefully it would be the option they chose. So if they chose like put hand in hole, maybe that's what this would store. But we don't know. We didn't write this package. So what's a good way to know what the user is giving us? Yeah, before I go any further, and we're like, well, let's see what this returns when I choose a specific answer. And now I can start testing my game. So I'm still in the old game. How do you kill a terminal in Node? Control C. That exits the program we're currently running. Okay, I'm gonna play the game. I am now Rick. Thank you, Rick. Oh, look at that. What would you like to do? 1, 2, 3, and 0. Put hand in hole, find key, open door, and cancel. So it's using our array of options and the question to present this. I didn't provide a 0. It looks like readline sync does that for you. So let's try this. Let's try put hand in hole, and then it will immediately console log what we answered. So I'll press the number 1. It console logged 0. Okay, that's interesting. Let's try find the key. I'll press 2. It gave us 1. Also interesting. So I'll try 3, open door. It gives us 2. So what is it giving us? When I choose put hand in hole, which is option 1, what is user answer? It's the index number of the option we chose. So yeah, as the programmer, the user sees 1. But really, this is grabbing the first item from the array, which is position 0. So the variable that we set equal to this method will be the index number of the item they chose, if that makes sense. So how would I craft my conditional to see, did the user choose to put their hand in the hole? I'll give you a -1. Oh yeah, we should test that one just so you see it. We didn't provide the cancel, but if I chose 0 and said cancel, it gives you a -1. So provided if the user happens to click cancel, even though we didn't build that into it, we may need to account for it. You know, tell them, hey, you actually can't cancel. You're stuck in a room. Sorry. Please continue. Okay, so if they choose 0, it's -1. But now how would I craft a conditional to see, did the user choose to put their hand in the hole? What would my question be? I'll set us up. There we go. Well, what is the variable user answer literally if they choose number 1, put hand in hole? Even, you could do it that way, but even more straightforward. If they chose the first option, put hand in hole, it will give us 0 as the value of user answer. So now it's just a condition of saying, is user answer equal to 0? If so, they chose option 1. So if the user's answer evaluates to 0, that means they put their hand in the hole. Well, that's bad because that kills them, but how do we account for that? What should we do to let them know that the game is over and then end the game? Yeah, let's let them know they just died. You died. Why did you put your hand in the hole? Haven't you ever seen The Mummy? Okay. After that, they now know that they're dead, but will the game end?
Said your condition is true in this case.
Right, because if we played the game as it is right now, they'd put their hand in the hole, we say you died, and then the very next line, now what would you like to do? We didn't end the game for them, even though we told them they died. So we need to end the game by setting our Boolean to true. So game over is now true. The game exits. So let's try that. Let me exit my game. Oh yeah, sometimes readline sync won't let you exit. Do you know the way to completely kill a terminal? That'll only work in some cases, unfortunately. You can also just hit this trash can, throws it away, reopen a new one. Or you can hit this plus sign, and you can have multiple consoles at once. But I just got a new console, so now I'll replay the game. What's your name? I am Marty, because this is a Morty thing to do. Thank you, Marty. What should we do? Let's try finding the key. Nothing happened because I didn't build a case for it. I press 3, nothing happens, 0, nothing happens. It just keeps asking me the question over and over again, but I did build a case for put hand in hole, so let's do it. You died, you put your hand in the hole, and it exited back to the terminal, meaning the program finished. So your goal is to take this framework and build into the logic of them having to find the key and then being able to open the door. If they try to open the door before they have a key, don't let them, repeat the process. But if they found the key, then open the door, give them a message of not you died, but you got out, and then end the game. So this is your first kind of exercise in building a game loop. Questions? So yeah, okay, let's look at that again because I totally get that. Node app.js, Harry Potter. All right, so this is representing the array, these three. Put hand and hold is index 0. So if I say 1, really I'm saying 0. But what is cancel? I didn't put that in my array. That's something that readline sync puts in there for me. So I just need to see how does readline sync work with that. Well, we saw that when we console log it and choose this, it gives us -1. So how would I make a case to tell them, hey, you can't cancel? User answer is what? Yep. And we'll say Boromir says 1 cannot cancel an escape room for you Lord of the Rings fans. Okay. Stop and go. And now whenever today Joe is playing. Now if I choose cancel, Boromir says 1 cannot cancel an escape room. Try again. Oh, it doesn't look like anything's happening because I'm hitting the mute button. Okay, I'm hitting 0. It doesn't look like anything is happening, but if I scroll up, this has happened over and over and over again. It's just, it keeps refreshing. But if I scroll up, here's every time Boromir is telling me I can't cancel the escape room. But then if I hit 1, you died. Why'd you put your hand in the hole? Haven't you ever seen The Mummy? Right, so make your, I'm gonna leave this on the board. I don't want you to copy and paste it, but I would like you to copy it. I just want you to type it out and think through it. So use this as your starter code. If you need to load this on your own screen so you can see it better, please do so through the Zoom call. But fill this in, try to orient yourself with what's happening, and then add to it the logic to finish the game. How are we feeling about that? Are you okay? If you like video games, hopefully this is exciting because this is where they all started, you know, one loop with a bunch of questions. Okay, I'll put this in Trello.